occasion of this 16th S. GANAPATHISUBRAMANIAN Memorial Lecture today. I welcome our speaker, Shri G Balasubramanian, Senior Professor and Advisor, Finance, Accounting and Quantitative Finance from IFMR, Chennai. He will deliver on the topic digital transformation, the imperatives of our cost and management accountants, which is a very recent requirement during uncertain times. It is my pleasure to welcome the family members of Shri S. Srinivasan, brother of S. Ganapathisubramanian, and his son, Shri G. Seturaman, who is also all attending here. I am so fortunate and blessed to welcome this event. I also privileged to say that I also belong to from South, that is the Tiruchirappalli district, which is near to Tanjore district. I welcome all members and the participants to attend the program and read the briefing, sir. I hand over to Shri Manivannan, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajagopal, for a very warm welcome. Now I request our Institute President, Mr. Raju Iyer, to say a few catalyzing words on this August occasion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wishing everyone happy, healthy, prosperous, and a peaceful New Year. Let the New Year be a very healthy one for all of us. And respected our Chairman, CMA K. Rajagopal, and our eminent speaker, Chief Guest G. Balasubramanian sir, and Manivannan sir, and my council colleague, Patmanavan, B. Murali, Dr. A2Z Murthy, and Papa Rao, and other senior members, and other office bearers of SARC, my colleagues, my dear participants. It's a good occasion that we are to remember a great contribution of our Ganapathisubramanian sir. And he has, as we all know, he is a doyen of our profession and who has contributed a lot for our profession. And during those days, when we were writing the exams manually, and we have no materials to go through, and he is someone who was providing a lot of technical support and all those aspects. And even during last decade also, whenever we approach him, he used to provide a lot of technical support. It's a great occasion, great this one that we are able to recollect and remember all these things. And his family members, G. Srinivasan and Seturaman are here, and they are also contributed a lot to the profession. These family members have done a lot of things to our professional institute also. Today we are having a very eminent speaker, Shri G. Balasubramanian sir, and who is well known in our area and who has delivered a lot of lectures in our institute also, in SARC as well as in our institute also. And today the topic is digital transformation, the imperatives for cost and management accountants during uncertain times. We are now passing through transition. VUCA is in progress, but how far we will be able to get through all those things? And last 2 years have proved to be a very critical year, and this one, fortunately, our economy was able to get through, and our economy is in progress now, and hope this pandemic will not be continuing, and it will be soon, it will be over. As per the WHO report and other things also, this pandemic is not as severe as second wave. This let's hope that we'll be able to come across with the grace of the God, and we will be able to move forward. And I am very eager to listen to our eminent speaker, who is well known in his field and who has contributed a lot to our profession. Wishing everyone happy, healthy, and prosperous days. And let us follow the principles and rules laid down by our great GS sir, and contribute for our profession, institute, and the society. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good day. Good
day. Thank you, Shri Raju Iyer, our beloved president of the institute. Though this is an occasion, we remember Mr. Shri S. Ganapathisubramanian. I must also say just a couple of words about Mr. Raju Iyer himself. I was just telling him on a personal way, but now I must bring it forth in this public forum. One of the things about Mr. Raju Iyer is so very accessible. Anybody can call him and he will respond. That's one thing. Accessibility is an important thing. I would also say that this was a great trait of Shri Ganapathisubramanian. And the second is, you can take any problem to Mr. Raju Iyer and then he will try to help you. His helping tendency is another thing that has endeared him to many people. So thank you so much for your words, kind words of inaugurating this. But I would also request you to, as I made a personal request, we should look at today as a one more milestone and as a seed sown for future growth of the institute and all the professionals associated with the institute. And Professor Bala has been a great force in not only in my personal life and professional life, but he has also inspired many students, many practitioners across the world, I would say. So it's a very auspicious beginning that we have today. And hopefully this will lead us to further growth and development. So thank you. So now I request CMA Lakshmi to now say a few words about this memorial lecture, its great legacy and how we have progressed, and also a few words about Mr. Ganapathisubramaanian. Over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I feel very much proud with pride to read our GSR profile on his memorial lecture day. It's a great lucky day for me.
Voice is breaking.
Is it okay now, sir? Is it okay now?
It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Good.
Good evening, everyone. I feel very much proud with pride to read our GSR profile on his memorial lecture day. Late Shri S. Ganapathisubramaanian, reverently called as Bhishma Pitamaha of Cost and Management Accounting profession by his innumerable admirers and students, was born in the village Haridwaramangalam, Tanjavur district on 4th June 1929. He was the gold medalist and best student prize winner of the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India in the first year of its inception in 1959. He spent his first 20 years of his career in full-time employment, serving various industries, including sugar, automobile, chemicals, transport, pharmaceutical, etc. He was a member in committee constituted by Government of India to control and regulate price mechanism in pharma industry. However, his first love was for teaching and professional development. In 1966, he joined the academics stream as Director of Studies in the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India in the formative years when the compulsory coaching was introduced, and he did the spade work for establishing norms and standards for coaching institutions. He also served as Deputy Director of the Administrative Staff College of India, in charge of the Consulting and Applied Research Division. He was a member of Central Council of ICWA from Southern India region. During his career spanning nearly 6 decades, he has traveled extensively and presented various technical papers in the number of seminars and conventions, including 2nd Asian and Pacific Accounting Convention in the year 1960, 7th and 9th International Congress of Accountants at Paris and Munich, International Accountancy Teachers Conference at Berlin, 2nd Workshop on Policy Making for Public Enterprises at Harvard in 1974, etc. From the year 1976 to the year 2006, he was in practice as cost and management consultant, and his clientele included almost all the leading industrial houses of South India. He left for his heavenly abode on 6th January 2006. We shall pray our tribute to GSR on his memorial lecture day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you so much. On this occasion, I must also say that so far we have had 15 memorial lectures in memory of Shri S. Ganapathisubramaanian, and we have had very leading experts from across the world and from various professions and backgrounds. So that has made this it has provided a great legacy, I would say, and we will carry forward with that. And I'm personally blessed and as well as privileged, having known Shri S. Ganapathisubramaanian as a family friend, as a benefactor, as a great teacher, a friend. One of his distinct qualities was his saulabhyam. He never bothered about age or the background of the other person. He could take any person into his fold. That was a great characteristic. Besides his cheerful countenance all the time, whatever be the worries or hardships, he never let that interfere with his cheerful approach to life. And of course, his mastery of the subject, not only of cost and management accounting, but many others. You talk about Sanskrit, again, he was a scholar in that. You talk about Vedic teachings or Carnatic music, on most of the topics, I was amazed that he could hold forth. So it was really a privilege having known him from my childhood days. And of course, having worked with him on many assignments as a professional, that was again a great blessing, I would say. And coming to Professor Bala, we call him Professor Bala, Professor GB. Professor G Balasubramanian, it's again a great privilege to introduce one's own teacher. I've known Professor Bala from 1986. I did my master's program, MBA program project under him. So I've known him from those days. And he's again, he reflects many of the qualities of Mr. GS in terms of his simplicity. And he can, simplify any topic. You go to him, you'll find he'll give you a solution. So these are some of the great hallmarks of great teachers, I would say. So it's a pleasure to introduce him in this August forum. Professor G Balasubramanian, ladies and gentlemen, now we have Professor G Balasubramanian, Senior Professor and Advisor Finance and Accounting and Quantitative Finance, IFMR Chennai. Professor Bala was formerly the Dean of IFMR and has more than 3 decades of experience in executive training, teaching, consulting, and research in accounting, finance, and information technology. He has trained thousands of executives across multiple organizations, covering both private and public sector. Some of his most sought after courses are Finance for Managers, Financial Modeling, even simple strategic cost management. I'm sure he's one of the best proponents we have in the country today. Currently a visiting faculty of several African countries in finance and information technology under the sponsorship of the Commonwealth Secretariat, Professor G Balasubramanian has also engaged with Indian Institutes of Management, Indore, IIM Trichy. Of course, this list does not include IIM Bangalore. He has done a lot of work with IIM Bangalore also, Great Lakes Institute of Management, and LIBA. An approved PhD guide at Madras University, Professor G Balasubramanian is also a member of the doctoral committee at IIT Madras. I know how many times he visits IIT Madras and does these evaluations. He is one of the most sought after in the areas of finance and related areas. He has designed and implemented decision support systems for major organizations and published papers on capital markets, accounting, information technology, and knowledge management. A resource person in a study of disinvestments of public sector enterprises, sponsored by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Professor G Balasubramanian has also co-authored a book titled Brain Engineering, published by Sage Publications. Besides that, he has published books on derivatives. Of course, this brief profile as a part of the invitation does not include all his accomplishments. He is again a great teacher of yoga, spirituality, and many other things. I'm sure we all have missed out on an opportunity of meeting him in person and interacting with him. There is so much to learn, and what this one pager captures is only a very, very small portion of his capabilities and knowledge and wisdom. He serves as the managing editor of Journal of Emerging Market Finance, IFMR Graduate School of Business Journal, published by Sage Publications. It's a privilege, as I told you in the beginning, it's a great privilege and honor. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I can basically share my screen and start the presentation. So can I just share my content?
Yes.
Sir, we have made you presenter, sir. You can share, sir.
Is this visible? One second. I'll just share.
Yes.
Is this visible now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I will just minimize this one.
Make it big.
Just hide that. Okay. Is it visible? Clear?
Visible, but make it big.
Yes, yes. I'll just use the. Is this okay?
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I think, yeah, thanks a lot for all that introduction. I feel very humbled completely. And actually, it's definitely my duty to remember Shri Ganapathisubramanian. We used to call him GSR. And my association with him in IFMR. He used to be the first opening batsman in most of the programs. He will introduce the role and scope of finance, costing, addressing very, very senior people. And he is one of the role models for us. We have learned a lot of things from him, and many of those qualities has already been told by Mr. Manivannan and others. Actually, to me, as a teacher, he was one of the outstanding teachers, basically from the point of view of communication and clarity in communication, simplicity in language, and very, very complex topics. He will make it very, very simple. I learned operations research, linear programming under his lectures. I used to attend all his lectures. I used to invite him, and also I used to attend all his lectures. Such a clarity and extremely humorous. He will always start the lecture with a sense of humor. And he used to teach this simplex algorithm as part of linear programming classes. He used to say, I'm going to teach you simplex, but there is nothing simple about it. It's a very, very complex one. That's how we'll start. A lot of jokes and a lot of ease with which he delivers most of the complicated topics, but without missing any details about it. So it was really a very, very inspiring journey working under him. We used to do a lot of management development programs. We used to travel all the way to TI training center, and during those occasions, as Manivannan said, he used to bring multiple topics, Sanskrit, Vedanta, so many things. So I think it is a privilege to deliver this lecture on this topic, digital transformation, the imperatives for cost and management accountants during uncertain times. The uncertain times word is more or less taken for granted now. That is a certain now, nothing specific about it. Everything is sort of in a flux, so we need to live with it. So IFMR Graduate School of Business has become part of a larger university called the Kriya University, and we have become a university now. We are called Graduate School of Business. So this is where I've spent the last 35 years, and definitely in the initial periods, a lot of senior members of ICW Institute have shaped up and helped us. GS is one of them, and Murali Prasad sir is another who is to address us. A.N. Raman sir, a lot of people have addressed a lot of MDP programs there. We really thank all of them. Now, I think Manivannan sir, please keep a check on the time and tell me when exactly I should stop. Manivannan sir, you're there? Hello?
He was
Hello?
You can very well do it, sir. It's no.
Okay.
we are all here. We are eager to
Yeah,
listen.
yes, sir.
Okay, because
very well.
we keep going, we
Yeah,
are
yeah,
not
absolutely
very,
no
very,
issues.
very absent-minded. We keep
We
going
are
on. And
eager to have.
please tell me when I should stop. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
So what I want to cover basically is to start with some frameworks that is very, very important, because we can relate to framework everything very easily. And I just present a simple framework. And the context is obviously the digital transformation, which means fundamentally changing the way we do things. And that is the emerging future. And future is all going to be technology, 100% technology driven. That's where we are. So we need to basically understand technology and see how we can add value in that environment. So it is exactly that we are looking at. And there are certain skill sets definitely required, and that's what matters now. Even degrees don't matter, really. Skill sets matter, and mindset, because it is a question of using the technology for professional advancements in the emerging future. That is exactly going to be the thing. And as cost and management accountants, we know the mindset, and we know what exactly we are our underlying DNA is. So we need to explore whether we have an edge in this emerging future. And I believe that there is a tremendous opportunity in this future for CMAs. And if they pitch themselves correctly, definitely they can do very well in this field. And then what are the imperative initiatives that CMAs should keep at the back of the mind? And also, as an institute, as professional members, what is it that we can contribute in the above context? So this is what I wish to cover. So first, the framework of it, we will start with a very simple idea that whatever we do at the end of the day, it must add value to the customers. So customer centricity is the watchword. And we are basically delivering a product or a service, whatever may be the industry to which we belong to. I belong to the education industry. Obviously, there is a service which we are providing to the students and my own customers. So the customer value add is a very, very important focus point for all of us. And in CMA, it has been emphasized time and again, number of times. And they used to tell us the fundamental industrial engineering idea of whatever you deliver, look at it in terms of functionality, number one. What functionality you are adding every time. Can be education, no problem at all. It can be a service. And you are delivering it at a cost. That was the emphasis of what I learned from CMA. Functionality by cost is value, the fundamental industrial engineering equation. So we need to continuously improve it. That is the basic framework with which we are working. And that results in economic value add, more a corporate finance concept, which is basically revenue minus cost. And the cost includes all the costs, operating cost as well as finance cost including whatever we are providing for the providers of capital to us, both debt and equity. And EVA is an excellent measure to basically see whether we are staying focused on the firm value or shareholder value add. Today we can even call it stakeholders value add. So fundamentally, CVA to EVA to SVA, that is basically what in the CMA we have been solidly anchored on understanding. When we say functionality by cost, in cost we break it up in terms of the various elements of cost and cost management. All those things have been covered, which we will touch upon. Now, what is it that we are seeing today? We are introducing a concept called DVA. It is nothing but digital value add. How you can improve all these things with the help of digital technology. At the end of the day, to simplify everything, digital technology contributes to adding customer value in a number of ways and adding automatically resulting in better revenue streams and cost savings and thereby improving the EVA and firm value. So this is the fundamental framework. What we are going to focus on is the DVA part. So the digital transformation, what do we really mean by that? This digital technology, which we will amplify as we go further, is felt across all the industries, manufacturing, banking, financial services. Today, the new watchword is fintech. Somewhere in the McKinsey report, it is said future is going to be fintech and basically technology. Okay, so these two things are going to be the fundamentally an area of focus. All functions, whether it is productions, operations, marketing, HR, finance, everywhere, we are basically seeing the impact of the technology. So what is digital transformation? It is referring to the impact in terms of productivity enhancements. We do more efficiently many of the things, tremendous saving in cost, and new sources of revenue, both product as well as service, and very interestingly, new business models and innovations, completely changing the way we do. And that is what we call the digital transformation. It has an impact on organization structure, so on and so forth. Now, the best example that we learn is this Uber, the first one, which all of us know we are using the service, etc. But if you really look at what we can learn from that model, it is a tremendous example that You don't need to be, they are in the transport business, but they don't own any transport. It is all simple app driven. The concept of app that has become very, very important in digital value add context. And they have simply made owners of cars as employees. And the whole onboarding process is just a few hours, not even few hours. Just if I have a car, I become an employee. But they still don't own any assets per se, but adding tremendous value. And what is going to be the future of Uber? If you see the way they are working on, they are looking at entire logistics, movements, space, and there will be newer and newer ways of application. That is just an example. You don't need to own the asset, but still you can create a lot of value. The other example that normally is we are able to see is this Airbnb. Again, the business model. They don't own any property, but still creating enormous value in the hospitality business and staying, accommodation, and all those kinds of things. Again, the future is going to be very, very interesting, very, very customized areas they are looking at. These are new business models. So the whole change is driven by the digital consumers. The consumers are also becoming digital. And nowadays, with the education, we are able to see even all the school children, everybody, whether it is a very, very, it's a corporation school, even there, the students who are taught online, children, they are used to mobile phones and trying to learn a lot of fun and other things. So everybody is shaped up to become a digital consumer in the future. So it is very important for the CMAs to understand these trends because they can leverage on the opportunity and drive the right digital leadership initiative, because digital leadership is essentially a very, very important thing on which the CMAs, as they move in their career, they can really play a very important role. So what is that they have to do? Nothing big. Look at everything with a digital lens. That is all. The digital mindset, you may call it. So for example, we have been taught as a CMA strategic cost management. Now, the strategy frameworks are becoming more and more digital strategies. Within the strategy framework, whether it is Porter's framework or whatever framework we look at, we'll bring in a component of digital strategy. One of the McKinsey recent reports talks about the future of CFOs. So CFOs play a very important role. Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption. A little louder, please. We are not able
Are you not able to hear me? Are you not able to hear me?
Too soft.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the strategy frameworks, what we call the various frameworks that we use, centerpiece of it is digital strategies. Okay. By means of which, what technology we employ, it is all part and parcel of the strategy. Similarly, we discuss a lot in strategic cost management framework, value chain analysis. Now we think in terms of digital value chain. Okay. Connectivity, how connectivity can add a tremendous value. Now, I think a very significant impact is on the cost drivers, which we normally discuss in the strategic cost management literature, structural drivers and executional drivers. The structural drivers, the digital impact on these drivers becomes very, very significant. So we look at technology itself as a key driver on the structure, whether location is going to really matter now, whether the entire supply chain, how that is going to be reconfigured under this. Similarly, under the executional drivers, we look at how many of the things can be taken care of by robotic process automation and technologies like that. So the impact on the cost drivers, structural and executional, fundamentally altering the cost structure ultimately. So the fixed cost, variable cost on which we are totally focused on, that is going to completely get redefined. And it is going to have a very significant impact in terms of economies of scale, economies of scope. All these things are going to fundamentally be different. So the CMAs have to focus on how this is going to impact. The cost arbitrage opportunities, which we used to call simple outsourcing model. It is called cost arbitrage. Actually, GS used to tell us cost arbitrage is nothing but converting fixed cost to variable cost, so that your operating leverage comes down, and uncertain times you can easily manage this with a lean structure. The capital expenditure is converted to operating expenditure. One example we are going to discuss a little later is the cloud computing. That's a classic example of technology, digital technology. Today, the entire IT investment on storage is being taken care of by cloud, and pay per use that is coming even in software everywhere. So that's a tremendous opportunity that can alter the cost structure. And activity-based costing, there are a lot of digital aids that can really help you to track activities, events, and that has got a tremendous advantage if the CMAs focus a lot on analytics. The analytics industry, which is part of the digital, what you call the technology. The digital technology is one side, it's generating a lot of data. Analytics is the other side of the story. These two are deadly combinations that gives you phenomenal amount of data for using analytics and inference for decision making and profitability and so on. So we have the very, very famous framework, value engineering the cost structure. We look at all activities and ask ourselves, these activities are adding value or not adding value? And we ask whether these activities are performed well or not performed well, because resources are deployed in the non-value adding activity. So lot of NVAs are attacked or removed by the digital technology. To me, automation ultimately results in elimination of NVAs and improves efficiency. So in the digital perspective, this is something CMAs can stay focused on. Of course, they will play a very important role in cost benefit analysis, because any digital strategy ultimately has to be evaluated. How much it's going to save? Okay. Somewhere in one place, they introduced a lot of these strategies. Suddenly they felt we should evaluate the benefits. Now, what is the real benefit here? This is where I think CMAs with their mindset can contribute significantly in quantifying the benefits. We typically call the cost benefit analysis, and understanding the total cost of ownership, impact on the total cost of ownership, whether it is procurement cost comes down or servicing the customer becomes much more efficient and it comes down, creates new revenue opportunities. So in the strategic cost management parlance, if you look at it in a digital lens, I think that is a kind of mindset that CMAs can really work. Now a little bit about technology. Now we go into the heart of the technology. What technology? This technology has a lot of things. Obviously, it has an impact on communication technology. Connectivity has become very low-cost connectivity. And data, enormous amount of data. Today we talk about what is called the big data. Another thing we should be familiar with is IoT, Internet of Things. We will understand what it exactly means and its impact. Automation, not only industrial automation, also administrative task automation, what we call the robotic process automation. Artificial intelligence in terms of speech recognition, text mining, all these things can contribute significantly again in improving efficiency and reducing cost, eliminating NVA. I think these are the three things, nothing more than that. Everything has to ultimately impact these three things. Of course, networking. And networking is taking a new meaning now. We are centralized, at the same time, a lot of things are decentralized. The future is decentralization with a lot of trust environment. Let's look at a little bit more detail about this. There is a beautiful report from McKinsey, which talked about the technology trends in a slightly different way they have presented. The structure of the presentation was very interesting. That's what I've just sourced from there. They said the impact is going to be felt on infrastructure and architecture. What does it mean? Connectivity, the future of connectivity. Connectivity in terms of speed, 5G, more bandwidth, to handle, videos and all kinds of data. And this IoT, Internet of Things, is basically devices are going to be connected. So devices are going to talk to each other, generate a lot of data, and that has a tremendous implication. One aspect of the infrastructure. The second important aspect is this distributed infrastructure. That means I don't have to have an IT setup in my office. I can simply hire space in cloud computing and edge computing. Edge computing is essentially a lot of processing is done at the actually place closer to where the data is required, where the information is required. It's not centrally processed somewhere, but the processing alone thus is at the end where it is exactly going to be received. That's called edge computing. So loss of time is reduced. This means speed with which a lot of data can be accessed, processed, and delivered. This is distributed infrastructure. Third important aspect, very, very significant, is the trust architecture. Meaning, in all these things, one problem we always have is how trustworthy all these things, whether there is security, safety, and all that. That is being fundamentally changed with the help of a technology called the blockchain technology. You see a lot of courses on the blockchain. What it actually means is decentralized processing, decentralized setup, decentralized network without losing the advantage of centralization, but at the same time, a tremendously secured environment. So security and very, very trustworthy. Because as Japanese used to say, a lot of things that we do for prevention of fraud and other things, according to them, it is a waste. They used to say inventory itself is a waste. If you can time the availability of arrival of inventory at the time of production on a real-time basis. And that is exactly what this blockchain tries to do, eliminate the need for a lot of checks. In fact, intermediaries are going to be eliminated a number of times. This is emerging future, and therefore this tremendous saving in costs. Transaction processing cost is going to come down dramatically. We are now in Web 2.0, moving towards 3.0. 3.0 is again the same internet power in a most trusted environment with decentralized processing, with blockchain as the underlying technology. So that is the infrastructure and architecture part of it. Enablers. If you see the future of programming, this is software 2.0. They are talking about data and operations, machine language and operations. What it means is, today data is separately handled, and then the data engineers, the people who are called the data engineers or analysts, business analysts, who are all from the analytics industry, they work together and try to deliver value out of this information for decision making. And machine learning is a new acronym that is for more efficient granular level analysis, including artificial intelligence and all that. So these are all going to be working together in the future. So even the software development and integrated with the analytics, that is the kind of scenario we are moving towards in the as enablers part of it. And then as enablers also more of high-speed computing, what is called quantum computing. And Intel is working on something called neuromorphic computing, which is nothing but trying to simulate the human brain and use human brain kind of processing. Human brain, by the way, is the most powerful one in terms of parallel processing. And that is being simulated now for artificial intelligence applications with high speed. These are all enablers. And if you look at the technology trend further in terms of applications, the next level of process automation and a concept called virtualization. Now, virtualization is becoming very, very important now. The Facebook, which is now called Meta, changed the name. It's bringing virtualization there. And in the recent COVID period, where most of the sessions were online, the experiment is more on how do you basically make people feel the physical presence of the person, not just the image, a 3D presence of the person. So these are all virtualization on the one side. The industrial Internet of Things, that is called IIoT, robos. And robos are typically separate ones with all kinds of attachments to do physical operations. But more importantly, this bots and cobots, these are all part of the robotic process automations. Cobots means robots working together. Bots are simple, what I call automated languages, automated routines that basically mimic certain processes that we do. So it is called robotic process automation, has a tremendous impact on the administrative chores and all that, where NVAs get eliminated. And cobots, they work together. And there is an interesting idea called the digital twins, which we will see in a short while. And 3D, 4D printing is another thing that is emerging, where a lot of these products are just, prototypes are just printed, converted into finished products. These are all digital revolutions that are happening. Okay. So digital twin, actually the idea is very simple. A physical product has a virtual representation called the digital twin. The idea is you can do a lot of experiments with the virtual product, change the design, do a lot of things, simulations. So you can experiment a lot of things to improve the value. That's what it actually means. Applied artificial intelligence, analytics, major industry, major focus where I think CMAs have got a tremendous role to play, and a lot of data which is going to be picked up based on a lot of proxies, like the intensity of lighting in a particular place, geospatial data, image and voice processing. You have things like computer vision, natural language processing, speech technology. We can say something like text mining. So instead of data, text is a very important data. As we talk, we are generating a lot of text, a lot of voice converted into text, and text is analyzed to understand the meaning. This is called the applied artificial intelligence. What it does ultimately, as a CMA, I don't have to know all the technology behind it, but I need to understand what it is ultimately going to impact. I am part of the team that is implementing it. I should know this. Convert unstructured data to structured data, adding tremendous value for analysis and insight. That's what it ultimately does. So digital twin we talked about. What does it mean? A virtual representation of a particular object or system that spans the life. Updated from real-time data, can get updated, uses simulation and a concept called machine learning and reasoning to help decision making. That's what it actually means. Looking at, very importantly, we can't miss out on fundamental things. One of the very fundamental things that changed the entire name of the game is the mobile first technology. What is that? Smartphones. Though we all use smartphones, we really may not know what really is a smartphone. It was one of the fundamental questions asked in one of the lectures by Nandan Nilankani when he came and addressed the Chennai International Center. And he said that is fundamentally changing everything, because today, anything you think about first is an app that you develop for the mobile operating system. So a smartphone has an independent operating system called Android or iOS if it is Apple, BlackBerry, still popular in certain countries. So this iMobile concept, how this changed the online purchases and money transfers. So smartphones have changed the whole name of the game. That is now becoming a computer, almost like a computer. Everything is done here. I can browse, that becomes my first interface. So there are so many app stores for mobile apps first. That's the way they think about. The second major one, we discussed about it, cloud computing eliminates the need for data storage. More importantly, anytime access, giving tremendous opportunity for cost arbitrage. Reduce the investment in IT. Amazon makes a lot of money in Amazon Web Services, which is the cloud computing technology. Google has its own platform. Microsoft has its own platform, all providing this cloud computing technology. That means somebody else stores the data and it's available to me anytime. With edge computing, speed is ensured. With 5G technology, speed is ensured. Internet of Things, any device, anybody, anywhere, any business, any network, anytime. That is IoT. What is IoT? Very simply, just data is generated. I make any particular device digital enablement. That is the concept here. Make it. So this is the way the CMA should think. If I convert it, digital enable this particular thing, what is the advantage? So data is generated through sensors attached to devices. So devices can generate data and it is transferred, obviously connected to net. So communication across devices. So devices can talk to each other. What is its impact? Pay by how you drive in a car. Okay, say for example, I have to take an insurance on a car. This is a standard example. I can ask for or negotiate for a lower premium because this is how I drive, the speed, the distance, etc. See its impact on health insurance, again, based on my exposure to health. It is possible to generate data on what is happening to me, the blood pressure, blood sugar, and things like that on real-time basis. These things offer a new opportunity for new revenue streams for all manufacturers. A very interesting term called real-time monitoring of assets. Whether it is cars or lifts or human body, the sensors there generate data and communicate that to the central server. That automatically monitors the condition, and whenever there is likely to be any kind of pressure that is built or some alerts that is developed, immediately there is a intervention by the company. So it is maintenance is handled by them. I don't have to worry about maintaining my car. It automatically warns me. It is an important component of predictive analytics. Product failure or component part failure prediction becomes very, very easy. Another example is you can even at homes, these are impacting us, eliminating non-value adding activity. As I said, the fundamental thing, the way I understand is I ask myself, what NVA it is eliminating, any digital technology. Amazon dashboards, I don't have to go and place an order in Amazon, typing all the addresses in this small thing, keyboards. Straight away the dashboard, if I buy it and keep it and feed the data, that takes care of ordering, etc., etc. Of course, there is a pitfall in all these things. There is always a negative side to it. We become too technology dependent. Of course, that is a part of it. We have to pay. IoT impact, part of daily life, as I said, remotely turning on heating devices via an app. While I was traveling with one IT gentleman, and there was a complaint from his home, from his apartment, that the motor was not switched on. He simply took his mobile phone and just activated it remotely. So that kind of thing, even now it is happening. Automatic scheduling of maintenance, because devices communicate and the central server, somebody is basically taking care of, ordering for goods, real-time monitoring of health also. And I have seen people who wear certain belts that automatically tell them what is the level of sugar before they are going to take some alcohol, whether they can do or not. So to that extent, things are possible. Parts life cycle, tracking and maintenance. IoT has a tremendous impact on the logistics and supply chain industry. When goods move from one place to another place, tracking and maintenance. Through this IoT devices, they can communicate and check where it is going. Location, movement tracking, communication, all in a blockchain context becomes much more interesting because you can have event stamping when something is happening. That's a tremendous and input for the activity-based costing, because you capture the timing, you can compute the cost of delay and accountability, etc. Very interestingly, this is also having an impact on the regulatory compliance, products, warranty, and those kinds of things. When these spots have come, so much of tracking is possible with the help of this technology. And if you look at computer vision, this is basically an application that we see in industries, augmented reality, virtual reality, augmented reality. It has a tremendous impact on training, providing what is called an immersive experience for customers and dramatic reduction in the design time. Robotic technology we talked about, a combination of computer vision, artificial intelligence, and analytics, because data generation is a very simple thing now. A combination of industrial automation, warehouse implications on warehouse management, material handling. RPA is more something that we see in workflow automation. We have nothing but software robots. Edge computing we talked about, and 5th generation. It basically enables real-time processing capability. Drones are also part of this technology, and its applications in logistic management and also industrial insurance. Finally, we talked about what is blockchain technology. It completely eliminates the intermediaries, brings down the transaction processing cost significantly. Applied in banks, supply chain management, we don't have to get into the technology part. There are courses on blockchain technology, but see now if CMAs understand the impact of it. If they do a course on that, it's all the more important for them to see how that can do. Social media cannot be ignored now, and role of cost accountants, CMAs in this technology, in this particular field. An acronym that was used called SMAC, Social, Mobile, Analytics, and Cloud. That's a convergence of all these things. What is the role of CMAs in this? Somewhere we talked about electric vehicles, automobiles with completely electric vehicles. They're moving more towards electric. It is very, very expensive. That is the first viewpoint people have. Actually, looking at from a life cycle cost perspective, it may be very, very cheap. That is what the cost accountant has analyzed in one automobile company. Now we said, why not write about it in the social media? So a digitally oriented person will write a blog on that, influence the opinions of people. So today, social media strategists are there in the company, vice president social media strategy. So they are giving training to the accountants there to basically build up the skill. So I think we can build the skill in the CMAs, how to write a blog and how to write these concepts, analyze some of them, apply that knowledge and write that, and basically influence the opinions of people, because most of it is shared in the social media. The integration of all these things creates a tremendous advantage for them. All e-businesses are becoming digital businesses. So Industry 4.0 is essentially a convergence of all these things we talked about: cyber security, system integration, sensors, augmented reality, cloud, automation, and big data. The huge amount of data, more than the current processing capability, can be handled. All the data need not reside and come into your RAM, but still you can handle it. So there are languages for it that handles it. So from Web 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. So what is the change here? First was e-commerce kind of thing, dedicated infrastructures. We moved to social networks, mobile first. That was the second, cloud driven. Social media, mobile first, and cloud. That was the second one. In the third wave, we are going to have a lot of real-time applications of AI-driven services, very, very decentralized, and edge computing, which is because of the blockchain kind of environment. So lastly, we want to talk a little bit about the CMA's tremendous role in the analytics industry. The analytics technology, where we are saying data is converted into actionable insights. That's what this whole analytics all about. Cuts across all industries, and with CMA's understanding of profitability drivers, the analytic knowledge will be a major advantage for them, the skill. So what are these analytics? Is it basically some kind of an old wine in new bottle. It used to be called one side of it business intelligence. And we used to do relational database management systems got integrated into the web servers. Business intelligence was linked to some kind of an analysis, which is called the OLAP analysis. What it simply means is you house the data in a cube structure, three-dimensional structure, so that multi-dimensional analysis can be easily done, drastically reducing the time to develop a MIS or a query handling. Any kind of questions can be asked on that. You can just get the answer because the data is not two-dimensional, it is multi-dimensional. You can pivot it whichever way you like. That used to be the business intelligence story, which is still part of the analytics. Now, all this is getting converged into the analytics term that we use. Designations have changed. Chief Technology Officer or Chief Information Officer. Today you see data engineer, data scientist, BI analyst, software, any of these things. In many of the, unless it is technical, I think CMAs can fit in any of this with their knowledge of domain. New dimensions of intelligence are unstructured data and big data. Unstructured data is text, pictures, and so on. Big data is voluminous data more than our processing capability. And the different formats, unstructured text, voice, videos, all this can be structured and brought within the field of analysis. What has changed really is more of technology-driven applications, and our ability to handle data has improved very significantly. Low-cost hardware and software. From low-cost software, we are moving to no-cost software because most of it is all open source or is available open source free. Python is available in the open source free. So learning all that becomes very, very easy and simple for them. User involvement is more. Handling information from reporting to dashboard. Dashboard is design. I think CMAs are better suited to that because they know the profitability way to present it. Involving artificial intelligence everywhere. Text mining. Basically, it means a text passage is converted into a simple table of understanding. And that is the AI application. Even conversational AI. Some focus group interviews are conducted. Different people express different views, which is recorded, converted into text. And an AI application simply understands that and gives you what is the kind of opinion that is emerging. So this is all, in fact, text data is becoming a fastest growing source of data in many places. Text mining and workflow automation. You just type your name to register for a program, automatically it goes and puts that once you're registered into your calendar and it does a whole lot of other things, eliminating non-value adding activity. In between, you don't have to remember anything. Automatically, the calendar reminds you. So that is a kind of thing. If you look at the components of analytics, there is a simple way to describe the data, which we call descriptive. Second is more researchers use, which is called diagnostic. And prescriptive is where I think CMAs have a tremendous role. They can build financial model. They can build a beautiful cost and pricing model, test it, optimize. Optimization is an area where CMAs have a tremendous role because they understand the profitability, they understand contribution. If they understand activity-based costing, they can give a lot of inputs to that. Simulation models, again, CMAs can really give the correct kind of probabilities for simulating. And many of the other algorithms are available to support them. This is all part of prescriptive analytics. Predictive. Here again, tools like regression, logistic regression, and machine learning algorithms gives them a tremendous amount of understanding of how data can be modeled to predict the future. It could be prices, revenue, costs, profits, whatever it is, and help in decision making. It's all completely part of risk analysis It's part of the uncertain times. Uncertain times is essentially risky. Most of it has to be done using scenario buildings. I think CMAs can play a significant role here if they understand. Again, the mathematics part is not important. The business analysis part is important. So we divide the tools in terms of classification and prediction. A lot of tools classify customers likely to pay, not likely to pay in the financial services industry, fintech or banking. Likely to default, not likely to default. That is discriminant analysis technique. But you have a technique like neural network, which can do a lot more analysis at a granular level with data and results. You don't have to worry about what is the relationship, what is the conventional assumptions, etc. So similarly, the prediction, you have various tools like this. Not very important. I'm just listing it for the sake of listing it. But these are all models available as part of a package. And learning them is not going to be a very difficult thing because these are all just a few lines. If you take logistic regression, just a few lines in R that can give you the result. And data is not a big deal. Simulation is a very, very important aspect that they have to do. So tools and techniques, broadly you can classify as data-driven, algorithm-driven. Data-driven tools are very easy. Basically, they retrieve data and basically from a summarized database. Algorithms are more what we can say specific mathematical algorithm. It's not important for us to understand the algorithms because the mathematics part of it, we don't have to worry, but we should understand the interpretation. For simple thing, as I was mentioning about how GS used to start the linear programming, it will take about an hour for him to solve the entire LP problem using a simplex method. Today, that whole thing is just done in a simple tool like Solver in Excel. You just only have to specify specify basic conditions and you get the result. So more in formulation of the problem, understanding the problem. And that's where the domain knowledge becomes very, very important. And specifically an opportunity for CMAs in deep learning, assumptions free, and a very, very granular level analytics that will help in dynamic costing and pricing. Today, costing and pricing are becoming more dynamic, like the Uber model. In Uber model, the pricing is dynamic, depending upon the demand and supply. In industries also, this is becoming something like that, based on the demand and supply. So costing is not a static model any longer. It's more a dynamic model, dynamic costing, and integrated with analytics. Okay, so you need to use analytics to do this dynamic thing. And granular level analytics, build a lot of scenarios for future financial modeling. Some aspects are basically repeated. Real-time costing and pricing in some of the hospitality industries or like hotels and also airline, things like that. It is becoming more real-time costing and pricing. I think CMAs can really play a significant role here. They have an edge in prescriptive analytics, particularly the cost driver identifications. Tremendous amount of data today is going to be generated by the IoT, as we have seen. Using regression and deep learning, one can really do a granular level analysis for understanding the cost driver. Similarly, optimization, as I said, tools like Solver is very easily available. If they are able to use the data and domain knowledge, they can beautifully configure an optimization, understand what shadow prices are and so on, profitability prediction. Now, these people have a tremendous role in business case preparation. Okay, what is the business case for a particular digital solution for a particular problem? CMAs can write very good business case, argue for it, and feasibility analysis. Ultimately, as Professor Vijay Govindarajan and others say, whatever you do, it has to have some kind of an impact on the revenue or cost or on the assets saving. So how you measure it? That is where I think these CMAs can do a lot of things in pilot studies, participating as part of cross-functional teams. Obviously, they can't be only just looking at books, but they have to bookkeeping part of it. They have to go down into the strategy route and see how this digital things work. Variance analysis also, with the data generated, you have a really sharper variance analysis possible with a lot of data generated from the IoT system. Artificial intelligence, machine learning is another major area. Automated decision making using structured, unstructured data, and impact on industrial automation, automated cars, AI-driven cars, and all that. These are some of the things that are on the technology side. Few points to remember. Many great thinkers have not really gone into too much of these analytics technology, but simple normal tables is enough. Simple descriptive statistics enough to draw significant inferences that has led to major strategic decisions. One example I can think of, a great management thinker, Dr. C.K. Prahalad. He never used to use a lot of complicated regression models, etc., but simple analysis of the table. He says, if you can draw insights from that, that will have a tremendous impact. Two of the major research work, India as a source of innovation, Fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. Both have a lot of data being used, which is very, very simple tables. Look at this whole table. This is called the market pyramid in China, India, and Brazil. One of the papers that won the McKinsey Award. Fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. The title of this paper was End of Corporate Imperialism. He simply said the mass of the consuming power is actually in the bottom of the pyramid. So if you look at the population in million at the bottom of the pyramid here, so that is where the real consuming power is. So we need to focus on that. It's a simple analysis, but led to tremendous amount of fighting. So lastly, trust. What is this blockchain technology? How it's going to impact us? Trust and transparency. Time stamping of events is possible. Has an implication for activity-based costing. Cost of delay can be estimated, and lot of elimination of intermediaries processes and non-value adding activity. Has total transparency of what is happening in the supply chain. And they use what is called a smart contract here. A smart contract, a blockchain is more of a decentralized database, and a smart contract is a special kind of data that is stored in the blockchain. It can house complex logic and with a code. So it is a self-executing contract, and it has a tremendous implication in terms of saving time and in a trusted environment to generate a sequence of events. A change in the contract class, how does it mean? Quite a lot of implications on the legal and the contract management. This is just a diagram that shows how this whole transaction gets executed by a smart contract. It is more of peer-to-peer transaction in a blockchain platform. Somebody wants to send money to another person using the blockchain. It is recorded in the blockchain, and it is a notification that happens, and the transaction gets approved. It is initialized, online transfer of money happens, and so on, so gets the money. This whole thing happens in a peer-to-peer kind of a network that using a smart contract. What is finally the emerging scenario? Internet of Things. Let's consolidate. Internet of Things, all types of data, not only voice, etc., analytics, engine, all in a blockchain platform. This seems to be the emerging future. This is all the summary of the whole thing. Applications, insurance industry, fintech, supply chain, can talk anything, manufacturing is going to be tremendously impacted. Role of CMAs, an additional point of view I want to add here. So far I have said, what is the role of CMAs? The first two slides summarizes that. Look at everything from this lens. This technology, understand the technology, but how is it impacting fundamentally the value to customers, saving in cost and productivity. That's what is the key point. So the role of CMA is also in the field of development. See, development, it is something different, nothing to do with digital, but also digital is applicable here. Sustainability, this is becoming a very major area of concern. Costing here becomes very, very critical. Life cycle costing has a major impact here. This framework, costing in the environment, environmental costing, a lot of issues in the environment. So costing principles applying here, it's all measurement and long-term impact. And there is a framework that is emerging called the real options framework in finance, which will fit in very well in these things, which means we are not straight away taking a decision based on either do it now or not do it. So it is not a binary. NPV positive, go ahead with the investment. NPV negative, don't go ahead with the investment. That kind of a binary framework is going away. We do a lot of real options creations. We do multiple experiments, but then we go into full investments after a certain experiments. So this framework actually takes the entire capital budgeting exercise into multiple stages. I may even abandon something at a particular point of time. I don't look at it as the accounting framework, it is a loss. It is part of a development expenditure. It is what is called an option premium there. That's what it means. If you don't exercise the option, it doesn't matter. I mean, the event doesn't happen, that's it. So that's kind of a framework is very important in these kinds of developments that is happening. So what are the imperatives and the mindset for the CMAs? Beware of the technology impact, aware of technology impact. Number one, learn analytics either as part of the syllabus or as part of really, somewhere you pick up the skills. There are so many courses. Programming, if possible, from accounting to strategy, from strategy to a digital mindset. Think digital means how it can add value, and learn to work with, this bots configuration, etc., because of the domain knowledge that you have. In fact, one particular company approached us for training a lot of accountants there who are doing routine work, which is going to be taken by bots now. So but they don't want to fire anybody. So they have to transform to a different role. That's where they will be part of configuring it. They will become social media strategists and so on. So if possible, a design thinking training is also will help them, because that's a good way to train in thinking with a customer orientation. Imperatives for the institute: we can create a lot of database of use cases. Use cases are just stories that tell them what it is actually impacting. We create a use case of application of a CMA framework or cost and management accounting framework within the digital space. Create asynchronous online material for self-learning in this space. Organize skills workshop can be customized for CMAs. Certificate courses customized for CMAs. These are areas we can really think a lot. I think I will stop here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I don't know whether I have exceeded the time.
Very much on time, sir. Very much on time and crisp and simple.
Thank you very much, sir. It was, you really stuck to the time limit. And thank you very much for, I would say, a very difficult topic for most of us. You have painted such a, a wonderful picture on a very big canvas. Now the challenge before the profession is how do we seize the opportunity, And that's where I think in the days to come, we'll have to work very closely with people like you. So thank you very much for a very inspiring, comprehensive lecture, I would say. It's a very good beginning. And it also befits with the profile of the persona of Mr. Ganapathisubramanian. He was never daunted by any development, be it in the field of science or technology or accounting profession or management or anything. he always used to, get excited by such opportunities. So thank you. I think it's a very appropriate topic that we had chosen, and we had chosen more appropriate.
Person.
In terms of the speaker, I don't think we could have got a better person than you. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and delivering the 16th GANAPATHISUBRAMANIAN Memorial Lecture. It was very inspiring, and I am sure all of us will take some leads from this and continue or start our journey, I would say, in this exciting sphere. If there are any questions, I'm sure I would request you to kindly take them up, sir.
Definitely.
In the Q&A box.
Yes.
Selvam, you can scan any questions are there? Mr. Selvam?
Oh, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. In
Any
the
Selvam questions?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Anything? I will 1 second.
I think participants can use the Q&A box or the chat box to share their questions. So far, there are
a couple of observations. I will read it for you. The first one is from Mr. Durga Prasad. And he says one of the important objectives of digital transformation is to achieve operational efficiency. So we would like to have your comments and suggestions on this.
Definitely, sir. That operational efficiency is very, very important. Take, for example, something like an Aravind Eye Hospital, which is manufacturing lenses, lenses for the eye. They have the RO lab. They are using robotics, it's really operationally very efficient because the precision with which they can do that. So robotic eye surgery, etc. they are talking about. Definitely this operational efficiency is important focus because the precision with which something can be done, which you calibrate the machine correctly. I think that's a very important application, certainly.
Sure. Thank you. The next one is from myself. You talked about opportunities for the CMAs and what the institute can do also. Can we have probably the institute should be able to work out a roadmap in terms of a definite starting point and milestones? Probably we will all come to you for further guidance in this.
Definitely, I think we can do a lot of things. Of course, we can design a course, analytics for cost and management accountants, specifically focused on that. Say an activity-based costing application, how regression can be used to identify that kind of program, highly customized only within the costing, framework. Second thing, as I said, the digital value add evaluation. Now, how do you evaluate it? That's where I think the CMAs have a role to play in how it is adding value, either in terms of cost saving. Just to give an example, one of our students was given a summer project. It is just to quantify the benefits of ERP in an organization because they have implemented ERP, several crores they have invested. The MD said that it has to be done, ERP, Then finally, they wanted to evaluate it. Is it really saving money? Right? Then this was a summer project for a student. Right? So he had to basically understand what was the inventory level before the introduction of ERP and after the introduction of ERP, how the inventory levels came down. So he was actually, that's where the CMAs can play a role in constantly monitoring and understanding the impact of technology.
Developing appropriate metrics for such an evaluation itself.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a part of the management accountant. And in one organization, they said our labor cost is very high. And the management accountant is working with the industry interfirm comparison and trying to figure out that they prove that their labor cost is actually the lowest, but the management feels it is the highest. So in all these things, I think with a lot of industry data they have to work with, and they can really do a lot of wonderful job there.
Sure, sir. Thank you. I mean, you have given so many examples throughout your lecture, and I'm sure we will take this seriously and then pursue it with vigor and enthusiasm. If there are any further questions.
Yeah, it's excellent lecture, sir. I request our Balasubramanian sir to provide as a roadmap so that we'll be able to move forward and we'll be able to get a very good technical paper on this, and our definitely our CMAs will be get beneficial and really able to add value to the industry. And this time I have created a value reporting task force also, and which where our A.N. Raman sir is also heading. And I request Balasubramanian sir and Manivan sir to contribute in the value reporting, which is integrated reporting's new avatar. And in the Atmanirbhar Amrut Mahotsav, we are participating and as a central government initiative, and we have a lot of things to do as a CMA, which will be able to contribute in a technical way, where India will be able to have an edge, and how Atmanirbhar can be fulfilled our Prime Minister's dream also. It's an excellent and a very eloquent way, simple way. Sir has highlighted all the issues and all the details. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sure, definitely we look forward to, and we will see. We can definitely see what are all the things possible. We will prepare a roadmap, and we will definitely work on that. 100%.
Thank you.
Thank
If
you.
there are no further questions, I would request Mr. Vijay Kiran Agastya, the Secretary of SARC, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Manivannan sir. First, I wanted to thank Chairman of SARC for a warm welcome and joining hands with the family of Ganapathi Balasubramanian sir, to Ganapathisubramanian sir, I'm so sorry, for organizing this wonderful session. I wanted to thank CMA Raju Iyer sir, President of the Institute, for not only sharing his views, but also a willingness to partner with Balasubramanian sir in laying out a roadmap for CMAs to take these digital transformation ideas forward. I wanted to thank Shri Balasubramanian sir for the elaborate, eloquent, and an ability to make things simple. He talked about Ganapathisubramanian sir's ability to teach a complex, simplex problem in a simple way. I think you are equally good at making things look so simple to us, sir. Some of these terms always go as a bounce over our head, but I think you made it very, very simple for us. Balasubramanian sir talked about how business models have evolved with the digital transformation, how the strategic framework is changing, with digital becoming an important aspect of the strategic framework. He talked about each aspect of strategy, cost management, and why we have to wear a digital lens in looking at each aspect of strategy, strategic cost management. Then he talked about various technology trends, IoT, blockchain, machine learning, and geospatial data. One thing that came up to my mind when we talk about geospatial data is agriculture is a great area where geospatial technology can be used very effectively, and CMAs have a great role to play there. And he highlighted that it's very important to create the trust on the data or output coming out of these technologies, because change management becomes a very important aspect when these digital transformation is taking place. And having said that, he talked about the role of CMA in analytics industry, how it has evolved over time. He did say that we don't have to worry about becoming expert at the technology. If we know how to formulate the problem, I think the technology will take care of problem solving, right? And he also talked about being aware of these technologies and its impact. Like I said, sir, you made these concepts look so simple. And in a compact way, you covered all the various digital trends that are taking place across the globe in a very, very effective way. I also wanted to thank Manivannan sir for partnering with SARC, CMA Srinivasan sir for partnering with SARC in this wonderful session. Among the audience, I could see two past presidents, CMA MG Gopal Krishnan sir, CMA Durga Prasad sir. So thank you very much for joining this session, sir. I also wanted to thank all the participants for actively listening and also asking appropriate questions. Thanks once again. I guess I missed this. CMA Padmanabhan sir, for some technical reasons, could not get into the studio today, but I wanted to thank him for his efforts in driving this program forward. Once again, thank you, everyone. Last but not least, I should say, normal people do great things when they're alive, right? great people like Ganapathy Subramanian sir continue to impact the lives of us after they depart their soul. Wherever he is, I think we should thank him for what he has done while he was alive, and laying enough seeds for it, for his vision to be carried forward through others that he has impacted. Thank you once again to everybody.
Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you.
President sir, Chairman sir, we will put Institute Anthem, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
We'll
Professor.
leave. Thank you.
So the 16th Ganapathy Subramanian Memorial Lecture has turned out to be a memorable occasion also. So thank you very much, Professor, for accepting our invitation and coming over.
Oh, it's our
This
duty.
inspiring
It's our
lecture.
duty.
And thank you all from the Institute.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wish all of you all the very best.
All the best. Thank you.
Happy and
Thank
healthy.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Right.